Today's topic is multiplication, and the Common Core standards are MA 222B and MA 322C. We're going to explore the relationship of multiplication through a variety of methods, and we're going to solve multiplication problems using rectangular arrays, number patterns, skip counting, and repeated addition. Lots and lots of different methods. So if you look at the photo template, when you open the tabs and you view it from the inside, each tab is not necessarily separated out. So what I did in my notebook, and you may choose to do this as well, is I took a ruler quickly and I divided my page directly in half. And I also continued the lines that were at the bottom of each tab all the way across. And what I will do is I will just make those folds a little less visible here so that we can work right over them. And we're going to talk about multiplication in many, many different forms. So bear with us. The definition of multiplication is a mathematical operation performed on two or more numbers to get a product. So again, a mathematical operation performed on two or more numbers to get a product. Another piece of that definition is that it's sometimes referred to as repeated addition. And what we mean by that is if we were going to say what is 3 times 5. Well, that's the number 3 5 times. So we talk about repeated addition in terms of multiplication as well, right? Excellent. Let's also move on to our multiplication words tab, which is visible to the top right-hand side of your template. Some important words that have to do with multiplication. These are words that you would see in a word problem to describe multiplication. So they're important to kind of recognize and understand that when people use these words, they're talking about multiplication. So the word times, each, twice, right, necessarily means 2 times. Product, factors, area. There are lots of words associated directly with multiplication. Oh, and also a multiple. Okay? So now we're going to talk about the 4 methods of multiplication. And those are the traditional method, the picture method, the array, and also the box and cluster method. And so those 4 methods are what we're going to focus on for the remainder of our note-taking. And in order to do that, we actually need a multiplication problem to work on. And the problem that we're going to identify is 32 times 21. And so that's something that you're going to want to put down in the margin of your notebook. So again, we'll start with a traditional method. Then we'll work on our pictures. Arrays. And box and cluster. beginning with the traditional method of multiplication, you want to just remember that multiplication, long multiplication, has many steps. So we'll try to write out the steps as we go, and hopefully that will help us. So the first thing we're going to do is multiply our ones digits, which is 1 times 2, and that equals 2. Then we're going to multiply our ones digit times our tens digit. 1 times 3 equals 3. Then we're going to have our 0 placeholder. And we continue on with our multiplication. 2 times 2, 4. 2 times 3 equals 6. And now we'll do our addition. Two plus 0 is 2. 3 plus 4 is 7. Bring down my 6. So my final answer is my product, which is 672. The picture method of multiplication best works with smaller digit multiplication problems. So I wouldn't recommend attempting this with larger than 1-digit numbers. Maybe a 1-digit number multiplied by a 2-digit number, but that's really the extent that you're going to want to utilize the picture method or the array method. And I'll show you why. So first of all, if we practice the picture method has us choose one particular number to start with. So I'm going to start with 3. And starting with my 3, I'm going to need 3 units, right? 3 identical, what I'm creating as boxes. And in each of those units, I'm going to have 2, which is my second number, smaller units, right? So if I started out with 3 boxes and I made them so they contained 2 smaller units each, the solution to my multiplication problem is the total number of smaller units, right? And if I think about that, it makes perfect sense here in this case because 3 times 2 equals 6, and there are 6 small units in my drawing. So again, picture methods are not very useful when you have a large problem like 32 times 21 because you would be drawing 32 boxes with 21 small units in each box, and that could take quite a long time, right? The other method that's much better for smaller digit numbers is the array method. And in the array method, it's really utilizing the concept of area. And you may have learned about area before, you may not, but area is the space, the two-dimensional space that is taken up by an object, a flat shape, right? So if I want to use an array or the concept of area to solve my multiplication problem, I'm going to choose one of my digits and make the side length of my rectangle that value. So I'm going to start with the 2. So I'm going to divide my rectangle horizontally into 2 equal parts. The other factor is 3. So I'm going to divide my rectangle vertically into 3 equal parts. The total number of parts in my rectangle is my solution. So as you can see, if we count, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes inside my rectangle. And as I'm sure you know, 3 times 2 equals 6. So again, this is a method that is going to be most valuable for smaller numbers. The last method we're going to talk about is the box and cluster method. And this is a method a student actually taught me because we didn't have this method when I was in middle school, which was not that long ago. But so as we do our problem, we say 32 times 21. And you use a box and you break apart that box into the number of pieces that you need to represent your digits. So if 32 is my first number, I'm going to put 30 in my tens place and 2 in my ones place. And then 21 is my second number, so I'll put 20 in my tens place and 1 in my ones place. Now you're going to multiply like a grid, right? So 30 times 20 is 600. 20 times 2 is 40. 30 times 1 is 30. And 2 times 1 is 2. So this is a very interesting model. Now I'm going to take everything from inside my box, 600, 40, 30, and 2, and add them all together. So 2, 7, 6. 672 is my solution, right? Which I know is correct. So that's great. My method has worked. This is actually the box method. The cluster method is a little different, and it says 32 times 21. And the way you write this is by multiplying the 32 by the pieces of the 21. So a 21 is made up of 2 tens and 1 1. So 32 times 10, and then another 32 times 10, and then 32 times 1. So once I have those numbers, I say 32 times 10 equals 320. Same problem, same solution. 32 times 1 equals 32. If I find the sum of this whole problem, I bring down 0 plus 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 plus 2 plus 3 is 7. 3 plus 3 is 6. My solution again is 672. This is the completion of your notes for all those different multiplication methods. You learned some methods that are great for larger numbers, but also for smaller numbers. This is what your finished notes should look like. You must fill in what I learned. You must complete the proof. Solve the problem 27 times 12 using a traditional method, and then solve the problem 42 by 26 using a box and cluster method. Again, make sure you complete your reflection before our next class.